A lone rider, Elias, crests a dusty hill, his silhouette sharp against the setting sun. He's come to Jericho, a town plagued by violence. His mission: broker peace between feuding families. His weathered face hides a past of pain, but his eyes burn with hope. The wind carries whispers of his arrival. Townsfolk peer from windows, wary. Peace is a foreign word here, and trust is scarce. Jericho's streets are tense, lined with saloons and boarded shops. Elias dismounts, his boots kicking up dust. The townsfolk watch, their faces hard. The feud between the Graysons and Harpers has left scars, burned barns, dead kin. Elias carries no gun, only a leather-bound journal. He believes words can heal. But the air hums with suspicion. A child drops a toy, and the silence feels heavy. In the saloon, Elias meets Mayor Caldwell, a slick man with a snake's smile. Caldwell wants peace but fears losing control. Folks here love their grudges, he warns. Elias nods, undeterred. He asks to meet the family heads. Caldwell hesitates, then agrees. Outside, a crowd gathers, whispering. A young woman, Clara Harper, watches Elias. Her eyes hold both hope and defiance. Night falls. Elias sits in a dim room with the Graysons. Old man Grayson, grizzled and bitter, scoffs at peace. Harper's killed my son, he growls. His daughter, Ruth, eyes Elias coldly. She's sharp, unyielding. Elias speaks of forgiveness, but Grayson slams his fist. Blood pays for blood. Ruth's gaze lingers on Elias, curious despite her anger. The room feels like a powder keg. Across town, Elias faces the Harpers. Widow Harper, stern and proud, blames the Graysons for her husband's death. Her son, Amos, grips a rifle, eyes blazing. Elias shares his journal, filled with stories of reconciled towns. Widow Harper softens but warns, Jericho's different. Amos spits, calling Elias a dreamer. Clara, present, urges her family to listen. Tension crackles like dry lightning. Morning breaks, harsh and bright. Elias walks Jericho's streets, posting notices for a town meeting. Some tear them down, others read in secret. Clara approaches, offering water. Why risk this? She asks. Elias smiles faintly. I've seen too much blood. Her eyes search his, finding sincerity. But a shout interrupts. Grayson boys ambush a Harper wagon. Elias runs to stop the fight. The brawl is chaos, fists, knives, dust. Elias dives in, pulling men apart. A Grayson blade grazes his arm, but he doesn't flinch. Enough, he roars, voice like thunder. The fighters pause, stunned. Clara helps him stand, her hands steady. The crowd murmurs. Some see a hero, others, a fool. Blood stains the dirt, but no one dies today. Elias's resolve hardens, but so does the town's divide. At the town hall, Elias prepares for the meeting. Caldwell warns him, they'll eat you alive. Elias shrugs, setting out chairs. Clara arrives, offering to speak for peace. Her courage surprises him. As dusk falls, folks trickle in, Grayson's on one side, Harper's on the other. Eyes dart, hands hover near weapons. Elias steps to the center, journal in hand, ready to plead for unity. Elias begins, voice steady. He tells of a town like Jericho, healed by truth. Grayson's heckle, Harper's sneer. Clara stands, urging calm. Her words sway a few, but not enough. Ruth Grayson rises, accusing Clara of betrayal. Amos Harper shouts back, and chaos erupts. Fists fly, chairs topple. Elias shields Clara, taking a blow. The meeting collapses, leaving hope in tatters. Outside, Elias bandages his wounds. Clara stays, guilt in her eyes. I thought they'd listen, she whispers. Elias touches her shoulder. They will. Fear's loud, but truth is patient. Across the street, Ruth watches, conflicted. A boy runs up, breathless. Grayson men plan a midnight raid on Harper land. Elias's heart sinks. Peace is slipping away, and blood looms closer. Elias rides to the Grayson ranch under moonlight. He pleads with old man Grayson to call off the raid. Grayson laughs, calling him naive. Ruth steps forward, hesitant. What if he's right? She asks. Her father snarls, but doubt flickers in his eyes. Elias leaves, unsure if he's swayed them. The night is thick with tension, and Jericho feels like a coiled snake, ready to strike. At the Harper homestead, Elias warns Widow Harper. She's grateful but firm. We'll defend ours. Amos loads his rifle, glaring. Clara begs Elias to stay safe. He nods, but his mind races. He needs a new plan. As he rides back to town, shadows move, spies from both sides. The air smells of gunpowder. Elias knows time's running out. Peace feels like chasing a mirage. Dawn breaks, and Jericho buzzes with rumors. Elias meets Caldwell, who's nervous. "You're stirring a hornet's nest," he says. Elias ignores him, planning a public gesture, disarming both families. He asks Clara and Ruth to help, hoping their voices will sway their kin. Both women agree, though fear lingers. The town square is chosen as the stage. The stakes couldn't be higher. Midday, the square fills with wary townsfolk. Elias stands tall, unarmed, flanked by Clara and Ruth. He calls for both families to lay down weapons, offering his journal as a pledge of trust. A few step forward, hesitant. But Amos Harper shouts, "It's a trap." A Grayson draws a pistol, and panic spreads. Elias raises his hands, pleading. A shot rings out, not at him, but into the air. The shooter is Caldwell, desperate for order. "Listen to him," he yells. The crowd freezes. Clara and Ruth speak, their voices raw but firm, begging for peace. A Grayson drops his gun. A Harper follows. Slowly, weapons hit the dirt. Elias's heart pounds. This is the moment. But then, a scream. A young Grayson lies bleeding, stabbed. Fingers point at Amos. The fragile truce shatters. Chaos erupts. Elias pulls the wounded boy to safety, shouting for calm. Clara and Ruth try to hold their families back, but rage takes over. Fists and blades clash. Elias spots Amos, knife in hand, denying the attack. Doubt gnaws at Elias. Someone else struck the blow. He scans the crowd, seeing Caldwell slip away. Suspicion grows. The mayor's fear of peace now feels like a motive. Elias drags the boy to a doctor, Clara at his side. The boy lives, barely. Ruth joins them, shaken. "This wasn't Amos," she says, surprising Clara. The women lock eyes, a spark of trust forming. Elias shares his suspicion about Caldwell. He gains from chaos, he says. They agree to confront him, but first, they must stop the escalating violence. The town's on the edge of all-out war. Night falls, and Jericho burns with anger. Elias, Clara, and Ruth sneak to Caldwell's office. Inside, they find papers, deals to profit from the feud's chaos. Caldwell's been fueling the hate, selling land to outsiders. Furious, they plan to expose him. But hoofbeats approach, Grayson and Harper men, armed, converging on the town. Elias realizes they've been betrayed again. Elias steps into the street, facing the mob. "Caldwell's played you all," he shouts, holding up the papers. The crowd hesitates. Clara and Ruth back him, pleading for reason. Amos steps forward, admitting his anger but denying the stabbing. A Grayson nods, swayed. Slowly, the mob lowers their weapons. Caldwell appears, panicked, and tries to flee. The crowd turns on him. Caldwell's caught, confessing his scheme. He hired a drifter to stab the boy, hoping to spark war and profit. The town's stunned. Grayson's and Harper's exchange looks, not forgiveness, but a pause. Elias speaks softly, "This is your chance." Clara and Ruth step forward, urging their families to talk. Weapons drop. The square grows quiet. For the first time, peace feels possible. Dawn breaks over a weary Jericho. Elias sits with Clara and Ruth, exhausted but hopeful. The families agree to a truce, shaky but real. Caldwell's locked away, his schemes exposed. Townsfolk begin clearing the square, picking up weapons and debris. Elias's journal lies open, its pages worn but intact. He smiles faintly, words have won, for now. But scars remain, and trust is fragile. Clara walks Elias to his horse. "Will you stay?" she asks. He shakes his head. "Other towns need me." Ruth joins, offering a nod of respect. "You're no fool," she says. Elias mounts up, his arm bandaged but his spirit strong. The townsfolk watch, some grateful, some still wary. Jericho's changed, but not whole. Elias knows peace is a seed, not a harvest. He rides off, dust rising. The town square lies quiet, weapons gone. Clara and Ruth sit together, talking, not as enemies, but not yet friends. Widow Harper and Old Man Grayson meet, their words stiff but civil. The feud's roots run deep, but today, they're cut back. Children play where blood was spilled. Jericho breathes, cautious but alive. Elias's shadow lingers, a reminder of what's possible. Miles away, Elias rides through a canyon, his journal tucked close. He thinks of Jericho, of Clara's hope, Ruth's strength. He knows some townsfolk will cling to hate, but others will build on today. His arm aches, but his heart is steady. Another town lies ahead, its own feuds waiting. Elias adjusts his hat, urging his horse forward. Peace is his fight, and he's not done. Back in Jericho, a boy finds Elias's dropped notice, reading it aloud. Peace starts with us. The words echo, simple but heavy. Clara overhears, smiling. She picks up a broom, helping rebuild. Ruth joins, their hands working side by side. The town's scars are deep, but healing begins in small acts. The sun rises higher, casting light on a town no longer bleeding. Weeks later, Jericho's streets hum with cautious hope. The saloons open, laughter mixing with talk of truce. Grayson and Harper children play together, tentative but real. A new mayor is chosen, one who listens. Clara keeps Elias's journal, reading it nightly. Ruth helps her, adding her own notes. They vow to keep the peace alive, knowing it's fragile but worth fighting for. Elias reaches a new town, its streets as tense as Jericho's were. He dismounts, journal in hand, ready to try again. The townsfolk eye him, some with hope, others with scorn. He's used to it. The wind carries dust, but also possibility. Elias steps forward, voice calm but firm. I'm here for peace, he says. The crowd stirs, unsure. His work begins anew, undaunted by blood. In Jericho, a monument rises in the square, a simple stone, engraved with, "Peace starts here." Clara and Ruth unveil it, their families watching. No one speaks of Caldwell, but his shadow lingers. The town knows peace is work, not a gift. They rebuild, step by step. A child plants a flower by the stone, and Clara smiles. Jericho's story is theirs now, not Elias's. Far off, Elias faces another mob, their anger like Jericho's. He speaks of a town that chose peace, his voice steady. Some listen, others shout. He holds up his journal, pages worn but alive. A woman steps forward, like Clara once did, her eyes curious. Elias nods, knowing the fight's worth it. Peace is a flame, small but stubborn. He'll carry it as long as he breathes. The sun sets over the plains, painting the sky red. Elias rides on, a lone figure against the vastness. Jericho's truce holds, a fragile victory. Other towns wait, their own blood and hope calling. Elias's journal grows heavier with stories, but he carries it gladly. Peace is his purpose, though blood may test it. The horizon stretches wide, and he rides toward it, unbroken.